Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
Here we go. Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by American Airlines and Atlantic City International Airport. ACY now is your one-stop ticket to over 90 domestic and international destinations. Book today at AA.com. All right, Adam Caplan is here. The Eagles just made a trade. It's very reminiscent of the Dodgers trading Mike Piazza to the Marlins, and then the Marlins saying, no, we don't want this guy. We traded him to the Mets. The Eagles have traded Uga Amadi, who they just acquired a week or two ago for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and they have sent him to Tennessee, and they'll get a couple of late draft picks per Adam Schefter. Let's bring in Adam Caplan, who is in Miami, where the Eagles are already not thrilled with their safety position. They trade away Uga Amadi today, and is that safety position something that continues to look like it might not be settled quite yet, Adam?
Yeah, it's Uga Amadi, and here's what happened. He's actually playing slot corner, not really safety. Safety's a problem, Mike. It's been a problem the entire offseason. It sticks out like a sore thumb. I think we all know that. And they're not done with that safety position. They'll do something before the season starts. Believe me, they know that. They have to. Whether it's a trade, a free agent, whatever the case may be, they have to do something. It's a problem, and we saw this today in practice, by the way, today. The Dolphins certainly picked on the middle of the field against the Eagles. So, yeah, it was. Let me set the scene here. It's the hottest camp that I've been to. Tropical humidity is what I would call it. It was in the high 80s. The start practice was super hot, and you remember now when you're this late in August, and you're coming back from a joint practice in a game and 3 weeks of practice, you're going to start getting worn down. The Eagles look a little worn down today, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know that Tua had mentioned, hey, you went to Cleveland, then back to Philly, then come down here in this weather. That it eventually will catch up to you. And it sounds like, Adam, that's kind of what happened today, as you kind of chronicled. They seemed to step slow. They just looked like maybe today they just didn't have it down there against Miami.
Yeah, and look, the Dolphins run a different defense that they have not seen. They run a different 34. They run the New England 34, which is completely different from the one that they use, which is a more traditional 34. So that they got some good looks from the Dolphins' defense, and defensively, the Eagles did some good things today. Tua also got them. Made plenty of plays. Tyreek Hill is really cool. This is the second time I see him this summer. I saw him 2 weeks ago when they were having a joint practice in Tampa for 2 days. And then I'll see them. Not only did I see him today, I'll see him tomorrow. And the Eagles, remember now, James Bradbury did not work today, and that certainly showed.
Let's take a look at some of the other observations from down there. And you take a look at this team getting a chance to face another team, and you mentioned Tyreek Hill. So how did they handle him? And does that kind of, I wonder, if this kind of foreshadows that that's the type of receiver that they might have some problems with, those smaller, quick guys, as opposed to, they've had some problems in the past with the bigger body, more physical guys, but now they've got Bradbury and Slay, who we didn't really see today. I guess Slay kind of got banged up a little bit, but it seems like Hill had a pretty good day against this secondary.
Yeah, so Slay got hurt covering Hill. One-on-ones, I don't put a whole lot of stock into one-on-ones because it's not like it's not football. It's not 11-on-11 or even 7-on-7, and you're not getting any help. And if Tyreek Hill's on the field, you're getting help. Remember, he destroyed the Eagles last year when Kansas City went into Philly. It was really crazy what he did against them. And, yeah, look, Slay has struggled at times against the bigger receivers, but no one can cover Tyreek Hill. He's a game changer. There aren't a lot of them in the National Football League. He's the top guy. Even as he gets older, he hasn't really lost anything, and he certainly made some plays today. Now, the thing about the Miami with him is they don't practice him a ton, but when he practices, he just dominates. And he's a pretty special football player. He's the highest paid receiver in NFL history at $30 million a year for a reason. And he's just a game changer, and you can't really duplicate that speed at cornerback. It's really hard to do.
Right. And, obviously he's a tough matchup, especially Bradbury not out there, Slay banged up too. And, the Eagles without a bunch of guys today, who Kelsey, Hargrave, Miles Sanders. So where do you feel? Where are you sitting on Sanders and his availability for the start of the season? Is this something to start looking at, or probably not?
Well, 2 years ago, so he had what we were told was a grade 2 a hamstring strain. And they made a decision, though he could have played week 1. I forget who they played week 1. They held him out because they didn't want to push it. Because it's week 1 and not a game that they absolutely had to have, you're side of the caution. That was a smart thing. And we know he's had a big injury history when it comes to soft tissue, particularly hamstring. This one I don't feel is the same concern. Now, if we get to week 1 and he's limited, and this is 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be a little concerned. It should be healed by then. Now, they're also very late at the running back position. You bring up Sanders and his inability to work. You do get what you worry about that because they don't have a lot of depth at running back right now. Though the Boston Scots come back and look great.
Yeah, I was going to say, Boston Scott seemed to be the guy on, what day was that? Sunday when they played Cleveland. And I guess at this point, you're getting to see how they're using these guys or what the feeling is. Do they feel comfortable with the guys that they currently have in-house to where, hey, they're not going to go outside this organization? Because everybody wants to find the perfect pieces in the perfect roster. Do they like what they have in-house?
Well, I do believe that you will see them add a running back to the practice squad, if not 2 of them. You need to have one. Every NFL team carries a running back in the practice squad, so you'll see that. And I would expect it to be a veteran. You like that guy to have some size. We talked about this months ago. Still think that's a possibility. You don't need to have it on your 53 because with the rules now, with the practice squads at 16, it's perfect to call these guys up for game day. Now, you'd like to see that in a practice here. In a goal line situation, but they don't have that. Kenny Gainwell, remember Mike last year? He started the season as their goal line back, which nobody saw coming. I don't know if they want him doing that again. I mean, he certainly can do it. And we saw him doing it at training camp back at the NovaCare complex in Philly. But that's certainly another thing, other than safety, which the Eagles know they have to improve. Getting it back with size would probably be a smart thing.
Adam, Josiah Scott also banged up a little bit, and I guess he would be the favorite to be will be at least the 4th safety there, right? Is Scott and Tart. How does Tart kind of factor in after the preseason game?
Yeah, Tart's still, Mike, running with the 3s. It's really surprising. Now, we were told that the scheme that they run in San Francisco with the Niners is completely different from the scheme that Jonathan Gannon runs, and he's had trouble assimilating to it. So it just has not happened for him. Now, they don't owe him a lot of money. If they cut him, they would only owe him $500,000, which is nothing in today's NFL. So it's something to keep an eye on as we go forward here because they need to do something at safety at some point here very, very soon. They need improvement. And Josiah Scott, I think he's got, a hamstring injury, if I'm not mistaken? Mm-hmm. He left the game. He hobbled off against the Browns, and he's a backup corner, nickel corner, and he also plays free safety. And he's done a good job. The coaches like him. He's been very coachable. From what I understand, it's more of a day-to-day situation with that injury. But he's a guy who's certainly been a very good story in training camp.
All right, Adam Caplan, some observations from today. What did the Dolphins' defensive front do for Philadelphia? Because we know the Eagles' offensive line is their strength. So how did you kind of watch and observe the Eagles' offensive line against that Dolphin front?
Yeah, boy, they gave us some pressure, the Eagles did. Again, I think what happened, Mike, is, and this happens a lot at joint practices, you're seeing the team that you're not familiar with. It's not like they're practicing with another team in the NFC East. They're practicing with a team in a different conference who's not on their schedule, and they don't have a frame of reference. And the thing that happens at these practices, and you run what you normally do. You don't run it in the game. Yeah, the Dolphins will run a 43. Well, they won't disguise. They won't do anything. They're not going to give their opponents any film that they could look at because the teams, by the way, they cannot share this film with anyone else other than themselves. So that's why I think the Eagles had some times today where the offensive line didn't handle itself well. That's just going to happen. And plus, their D-line versus the Dolphins' offensive line, the Dolphins have a very average, if not below average, offensive line. If Tua didn't get the ball out quickly, the Eagles got pressure. And the Eagles ran their stuff today, so it was good to see.
Yeah, Tua, I'm interested just to get your take on what he looks like in person with that offense. And I don't think Waddle played today, but there's a lot of expectations on that team, and specifically Tua, who was a very high draft pick.
Yeah, I thought Tua looked good today. I mean, Mike, that hits and that ball's out. And I see he's another guy like Gardner Minshew that they don't have strong arms. And Minshew, by the way, had a very good practice. Tua's a guy, he's not a big guy, barely 6'1". If the ball does not come out quickly out of his hands, it's either going to get deflected, he's going to be pushed. He's not a big guy at all. He's got a small frame. He's got to get it out quickly because the defense could adjust it, even that slight second, because he can't throw the ball with any juice. Gardner Minshew, ironically, has the same issue. You got to throw with anticipation, with timing. We saw today a lot where Tua got it out of his hands and threw the ball well. He got it into the pass target's hands. Now, when he threw the ball downfield, boy, the ball hung up. I mean, it hung up. There was one in particular where it seemed like it took forever to come down. He just can't drive the football. Hurts actually has a better arm than Tua, for the record.
Right, and a lot of people looking at Hurts in this situation not against, but in these practices down here. And did you get a full brigade of the Eagles offense? Did you get A.J. Brown? Did you get Devonta Smith?
Yep.
Did you get everybody and get a chance to see how their offense functioned?
Yeah. Oh, they all practiced. Yeah, I mean, Devontae looked good. A.J. Brown did get a ton of balls, but he had a ball downfield. He caught the ball well. These practices is good because what you do is you practice on two fields, the ones versus the ones, twos versus twos, and you mix it up a little bit. Yeah, and that's what we saw today. And then Lane Johnson, I don't know that he got hurt, but he didn't finish practice. They had Jack Driscoll going him at right tackle. That might have been just because of the heat. Who knows? And then, by the way, Slay, on that 101, he just jammed his leg, and then he came back later. And then he left. So I don't know that there's anything to worry about, but we'll see what happens tomorrow.
In that wide receiver mix, where do you see Zach Pascal kind of fitting in? Because it seems like he continues to pile up good days.
Yeah, he was really good today, Mike. He's a little bit better than I thought. I've not seen him play before live, in person. I saw him practice today and last week at Cleveland, where he's terrific. We've talked about him on our show. Where we've got a ton of stuff for tomorrow morning show on Inside the Birds in today's practice, which you and I won't be talking about today, but we don't have the time. But I could just tell you that Zach Pascal's been one of the better stories of training camp the last couple of weeks, where Kenny Gainwell's kind of dropped off. He's been a story, man. There's no doubt he's gotten the job done. And this is another thing with one thing we haven't talked enough about. This is the deepest Eagles receiver core we've seen in years. From 1 to 5 now, we still think Rager will be traded. We've talked about that all offseason. We still think it'll happen. It's not a lock, but if he's on the roster, it's like you don't know what his role will be, because 1 through 5, Mike's pretty set.
Yeah, and Jeff and I kind of talked about this yesterday, and Jeff, kind of thought out loud, okay, if Deion Kane, someone like that, makes the team, what kind of role does he have, though? You know what I'm saying? Like it's like the fans are like cheering for guys like that to make the team, but you wonder, even Rager, right now, isn't he the leading candidate to be the return man?
Not really. And Britton Covey could do both. I'm told they have not decided on punt return yet. He's not. I didn't see Rager return one kick today. Covey.
Okay, no, that's interesting.
Rager. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they know that yet. I don't think they know that. Now, if Rager's on the team, do I think a better chance than Covey? Sure, I do. But I don't believe that they've decided that yet. Kickoff definitely have not. They're rotating everybody. In fact, they rotated 4 guys. So it's the same. They keep rotating guys at kickoff returner. Quest Watkins, Covey. Covey also does punts. The thing, though, about Rager and punts, I don't know what's happened to him on that role, because he was maybe the nation's best punt returner in 2019. It's one of these situations that you scratch your head. What has happened to him? He was so special. And when I watched him today, I thought he did return well. But the thing is, the Dolphins, you're not tackling, so you really don't know what the thing would look like if they're allowed to tackle.
Another guy I'm interested to get, is that tight end room. Yesterday, I think you brought it up on maybe, what day is it today? Maybe on Monday, when we talked about Tyree Jackson, what was going to happen to him. Well, he ended up getting put on the PUP list. So now you got Grant Calcaterra, you got Togiai, you've got Jack Stahl. Did we learn anything about that position today?
Well, we know the top two positions, Goddard and Stoll, were the ones and twos that was never going to be challenged. Stoll's been entrenched as the two of this offseason. They didn't bring anyone to challenge him. What they were looking to do is add a little bit of athleticism at the three position, and Calcaterra looked good again today. But I'll tell you what, he is as good as Goddard's looked. But he had a couple drops today. As good as Goddard's looked, he's had a terrific training camp. We've outlined this. He's been one of the best players on either side of the football in training camp. Calcaterra is more explosive. Like, he definitely adds something different, Mike. And it'll be interesting to see if they keep him. I know they like to keep three tight ends, but they have a numbers crunch with Rager still on the roster. They've got Covey, who they want to keep. They've got Kane, who they want to keep. So it's a numbers problem at wide receiver. Are they going to keep 4 or 5 corners? The safety position is an absolute mess. How many? You literally could say that right now they only have 3 that they know they're going to keep. I mean, that's how bad it is at safety. So this is the trouble for those of us who want to put about a 53. Believe it or not, there's still some tough decisions that they have to make.
Yeah, and I was going to follow up with that. You had today, you have tomorrow, and then really you have that game on Saturday, and it's like, who needs this practice tomorrow and that game on Saturday to really, shine and make this team? Are there a couple of guys that you're going to be watching tomorrow and Saturday that are kind of hanging on by the end there?
Yeah, but the back end corners. They take Gallons of the world, make a couple plays today. Kerry Vincent's, those type of guys who probably will not make the team. I would say they're the outside looking in, but look, if they put great tape together, make it tough on the coaches and the front office. These tight ends, Richard Rodgers probably is more of a practice squad candidate as a veteran. The Eagles did very well with that last year with Jordan Howard and Rodgers and others. That would be like that. Reed Sinnett, I don't think Reed Sinnett will make it. I don't see them keeping 3 quarterbacks.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see that, but he's opened some eyes.
You think that Minshew plays on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the starters playing. I would think with this heat and with all the great work that they're getting, it would make no sense to play them, but I'm not Nick Sirianni's got to make that decision.
Yeah.
Because I know their teams already said they're playing their starters. I know some teams are going to take this like the old third preseason game before, where it's the dress rehearsal game, because you have that now. But now, Siege, Mike, you've got next week off. Next week is preparation for week 1. You get an extra week to do that. It's going to be interesting to see what the Eagles do here. To me, I just don't see why you would play them. But this game now is for the back end guys who have that last chance, as you set that up.
I want to get just your opinion on. Have you seen enough of how? Or do you have a theory on how they use Reddick? I don't know that we've really seen what they're going to do with him.
Oh, he had a good day today.
Okay.
Yeah, he was very good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. We know he's an outside. He's a stand-up outside linebacker. Yeah, he's a 34. The Eagles are going to run the same defense they ran last year in theory at 34. Mm-hmm. I know that Layman called a 5-2. It's a 34. That's exactly what it is. I stood next to so many NFL people at Eagles practice this year. They said that's a 34 defense, not a 5-2. It looks like a 5-2 when you move those 2 linebackers up to the line, but that's if they're hands down, that's a 5 front. It's not a 5 front. It's a 3. It's a 3 with two stand-up linebackers. There are 2 types of 34 outside linebackers. One's that the Steelers guys who stand farther back and then they run up right before the snap, or some defenses where you just stand them up, called overhangs. It's just how you want to call it, but. Reddick's had a very good camp, man. We know how he's going to be used. He could be used as a pass rusher. Is he going to be? Is he going to cover a little bit? Yeah, 10%, 10 to 50% of the time. Yeah, you can't. There's no linebacker in the National Football League that rushes every single time he's out there. That doesn't happen. But it's going to be a minimal amount that's going to ask him to cover.
All right, Adam Caplan, the Inside the Birds podcast. New one will drop tomorrow morning. The guys are down in Miami to get you ready for what they're watching and looking for the practices and Sunday's game, or Saturday, I guess, is when they play. And that'll be it until the regular season. Before we let you run, Adam, is there anything else you want to add that you saw and observed for the listeners today?
Anything else that was on your mind that you wanted to bring up?
Oh, man. Well, I got a ton of stuff. I could talk Eagles for 4 hours.
Yeah. No, nothing. No, look, I thought the Eagles offense was up and down. I thought the defense, that Miami's offense got the better of the Eagles a little bit. I don't grade these things. It's pointless to do that. But if you just want to give me an overview of what it looked like, I would say that the Eagles were much better last week in the first practice against Cleveland.
Sharp.
Cleveland had their both starting corners out last week, which that's the difference. And by the way, Miami's down a bunch of corners. They got a lot of guys hurt at that position. And all of a sudden, Byron Jones, who should have been an Eagle, he hasn't practiced since last season. He's been out after surgery, and they just lost Mackenzie Alexander, who they just signed. So they're down a bunch of corners.
All right, Adam Caplan, and of course, Jeff will have the new Inside the Birds podcast out tomorrow morning. Jeff will be in with practice from tomorrow on tomorrow's show, and then Andrew's here on Friday to kind of preview what he's watching for in the game. Football at 4, Inside the Birds. Appreciate it, Adam.
You got me.
Adam is in Miami, getting ready for those joint practice tomorrow, number 2, and then, of course, the preseason game number 3, which will take place right here on 97.3 ESPN.